October meeting to order. We'll start with the pledge of allegiance, please. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, approval of the agenda. I want to make, there's two items I want to scratch from the agenda, number 17 and number 19. Due to, I filed a formal complaint today against two of our city commissioners. And those two line items kind of fall in line with some of my complaints.
Did you say 17 and 19?
Yep.
17 is just the service agreement.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, that information hasn't been, we didn't receive any minutes, we don't know. I was never told when that meeting was gonna be held, or if it wasn't for going to the park board meeting, it was brought up.
The Vestas service agreement number 17 is our contract with Aramark.
Oh, I'm sorry. It was then I got that
Maybe
confused.
18? 18?
Oh, yeah, 18, I apologize.
No, you're fine.
Thank you for clarifying that. So 18 and 19,
I would motion to reject that.
on what grounds?
There's a motion on the table. We can
Second.
have discussion. Sure, so the grounds are
Well,
that.
Sorry, but
Do I not
I-
continue, Crown?
I made a motion to scratch those two.
Did you say the word motion, or you just said that you wanted to? Did you
Well-
actually make a motion?
It was my intent to make a motion to scratch that because,
Point of order, you didn't make a motion, so he made the motion, it's his motion, and.
okay,
Sure. So you said on what grounds? Well, the grounds are that it's an accusation against you for lying to the park board. You were asked if you had permission to be there. It's on film, there's evidence. You said yes. There was no notification to this board on you going there. There was nothing along those lines. You discussed things that were currently in process in a separate committee. Your complaint had no evidence submitted with it. You just said something about defamation. Defamation in a criminal court requires that the information, that the defamatory material be untrue. I have video evidence, I have text messages, I have an email. There's a lot going into that. So I would put forth that they're true, and I'm willing to take that risk so that way we can make it right with the park board.
okay, is there a second?
There already is.
Who seconded? Oh, okay, I didn't hear your second. Okay, is there any discussion on both or just one?
To allow the agenda as it's been submitted.
A lot of the
Oh,
agenda
okay.
is stated.
Okay, discussion? I have something to discuss. When does the city of the commission need permission to go to a park board meeting?
Yeah, I wrote up a little document called the Primer on the Power of Governing Bodies in North Dakota and the Transference thereof. It has all the century codes listed, the powers of municipalities, the general provisions, what a governing body is, how a quorum transfers that to an individual that I'll go over during that agenda.
Can I see that?
Sure. I would like it back though.
Sure.
Point of order, this has nothing to do with the motion.
Exactly.
Give me a minute, please.
It has nothing to do with the motion.
Would you like to stand up and state your name if you're gonna?
My name is Larry Thomas.
Okay. Thank you. For the record.
So the bold is the question, the normal text is all the century codes taken in context,
And where did this come from?
North Dakota century code. It's questions with North Dakota century code linked afterwards with the entire number listed out.
Anybody else want to see this?
Nope.
I can see it later.
Call for the vote.
Yep.
Yes.
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 Yes. No. Okay, it's passed. I have one other item I'd like to add to the agenda then, to number 25, is to read my
We've already approved the agenda,
formal,
haven't we? Isn't that the motion to
no,
approve the agenda?
No, to reject his.
Oh, reject, I'm sorry, okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
so I'd like to make a motion to read my letter, my formal complaint letter before the commission. Is there a second?
Does this pertain to that, or?
Yes. To this letter that,
Okay.
do I take that as a yes?
Yeah, might as well, yes.
Is
So
there any
that's a
more?
second.
Are you
Or- or
seconding?
I'm
Are
sorry,
you-
I
or-
second it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I second it.
Is there any more discussion?
I printed off for you libel and slander defined in North Dakota Century Code. In there, it shows that it needs to be falsified information. Nowhere in your complaint letter do you provide any evidence. So that'd probably be a good idea before you do a complaint in that fashion.
I believe yours letter hasn't been proven either, so.
The text messages and the emails are right here, and they're emailed out with the agenda. So it's been proven, and there's video on our YouTube
I'd like,
with a timestamp and a direct quotation.
but I'd like to see the video
It was linked
to prove
3
what
days ago.
what I said. And that it conflicted with what your meeting was about,
Yeah, well, that will be explained during the agenda item.
but it hasn't been proven, so. we can have that.
Perfect, thank you.
Yep. So the item is if I can read my formal complaint at the meeting.
Point of order, you're asking to put it on the agenda for item number 25?
Correct, there's a first and a second.
Yeah, but you can't read it now because you want it on.
I'm not reading it now, Larry.
You said you wanted to read it.
That was clarification of what the motion on the table is. Okay? Amendment. Miranda, sorry.
Yes, you wanna read it?
Yes.
no,
Yes.
And yes, thank you. Is there any more additions or corrections to the agenda? If not, so we'll vote on the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda as amended, I guess.
yep, second.
Any more discussion? Miranda?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
Yes. All right, let's get going. Dirty deeds payment,
that was actually, okayed a year ago. So I would approve the dirty deeds payment for the shared street.
Okay, clarification with that, why that's in there. It was approved, but it was not stated out of which fund we wanted to pay it.
Okay.
I went back, I read my meeting minutes, and I listened to the meeting, and at no point in there was it stated where we wanted to pay for that. So I didn't wanna make the assumption if we wanna pay it out of, by looking at the invoice. He did move the road that we discussed, and we paid our portion of 20,000, cause it was proved up to 40,000, with the road, the gravel, the culverts, reclaim the topsoil, sad grease, seed grass. He has it on there that the dozer, it's all combined into one amount. It is infrastructure, so we could use sales and tax. It could go as equipment rental because he's charging us for the dozer usage. I guess I wasn't sure where you guys wanted that paid out of, so being that it was never stated in the motion, if we could have a motion where this one would be paid out of, and then I'll make sure it's in the correct fund, but it is included with the bills.
So budgetarily, would it work better to bring it out of 1 cent sale?
It's infrastructure, so definitely could be.
Okay. I would move that we would pay dirty deeds excavating, and that's the $20,000 one, right?
That is correct.
Yeah, out of 1 cent sales.
Second.
any more discussion? Oh, I have one question on the project itself. Was there a concern,
East Streets.
about, no, for the water line? you're talking up there that,
By
Correct.
Hawkins Chemical.
yeah, the water that goes to, River Ag, did we ever find out if, they thought they might have taken off too much dirt in an area?
I guess you'd have to visit with Chris.
Oh,
They,
well,
it was
Adam
taken care
told
of.
me that.
Yeah, they had, I think his name is Jason, came up and looked at it, and it was fine.
Okay, it's deep enough,
Yes.
so it's not gonna be, okay, that's all. I was gonna ask Adam, but he's not gonna be here.
Yeah, I know whatever, if, when they couldn't find it, they found it, and whatever, if something needed to be done, it was done properly before they could go and finish all that, cause I know, I think
Okay.
it was from rural water,
Yeah,
I think he works for.
before we paid the
They
bill, I
came,
wanna
yep.
make sure that
Yep.
everything was covered.
He
so.
came and looked at it.
All right, thank you. All right, no more discussion.
Yes.
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 Yes. And yes. All right, approval of the bills. Has everyone had a chance to go through the bills?
Motion to approve?
I'll second. Any other discussion? All,
Yes.
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 and yes. All right, approve September 9th, 2024 meeting minutes.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Any more discussion? Not hearing any?
Yes.
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 And yes. All right, approve the September financials.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Any more discussion?
Yes.
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 And yes. All right.
Go ahead, man.
Sorry.
That's okay.
And then we have, the Lions Club, waiver fee. It's for a breakfast, I believe.
The Lions breakfast will be held on October 20th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m.
And this is in order of what they've done other years, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So I would move that we would approve that.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes.
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 And yes. All right. McLean County Resource Center waiver of fees.
They are holding their Halloween bash on the 26th. I believe that's a Saturday, at the hall. And there'll be a soup cook-off, and it goes in connection with domestic violence. They're asking for, the waiver fees for their event as well.
Cause there's no vendors or anything that make profit there, correct?
Right.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes.
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. All right. Washburn Life waiver of fees.
Rhonda, you're here.
Washburn Life is asking that the city commission to waive the fees for the rental of the Memorial Hall December 7th for Santa Day. It'll be from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m.
If I may ask, do you charge vendors or is it still free for vendors?
There are no vendors for this Santa Day. It is inflatables.
Oh,
a
okay.
free will,
Sorry.
yeah.
Yep.
We're gonna do free will offering food, but it's not, it's just, the meal is macaroni and cheese and hot dogs, cookies possibly, there'll be games, Santa, Mrs. Claus. There's Santa. Ah, Santa. We've done it every year.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Any more discussion?
Yes.
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 And yes. All right, Creed tax exempt, send, clarification.
So what you need is you need this actual motion word for word here, correct?
Yes, it was approved, but the amount was never stated and the years were never stated, so the county would just like to see it motioned in the past how it's been done. Then I'll just presend them the minutes and it'll be good to go. Obviously, it is too late for 2024. That's why the years are,
5 and 6. yeah.
yes.
Okay, I motion to approve the tax exemption for Mark Craig up to $150,000 for true and full value of all new single-family property exclusive of the land on which it is situated is exempt from taxation for the two taxable years of 2025 and 2026.
Second.
Any more discussion?
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes. Okay. Forestry Board appointment, Gunderson?
We finally got someone to come forward, so I would
Okay.
move that we would appoint Donna Gunderson.
I'll
Sorry.
second, oh, sorry, I'll second that. Any more discussion? If not,
Yes.
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 did you say yes?
I'm sorry, yes.
And yes. All right, summary of conditional use permit for daycare by zoning president.
Okay, then on the 7th, there was a public hearing concerning a conditional use permit application for a daycare. Sarah and Alex Erickson.
Can you talk a little louder?
I can try. So anyway, I'm old and I'm running out of air, so. But anyway, there was a public hearing on October 7th. The process is they came with an application for a conditional use permit in an R1 area to be able to put in a daycare, which fits the ordinance as it is stated. At that time, it was voted to move it on to a public hearing, which is part of the process. On October 7th, in the Memorial Hall basement, there was a public hearing and there were many that attended that. So I'm just gonna give a brief summary, of what happened and then the recommendation of the planning and zoning. Some of the concerns that were brought up, what was the capacity? It will have capacity up to 45. Another concern that was brought up was parking and traffic congestion. There will be 8 to 10 off-street parking spots and a drop-off area. There's like 2 times a day when the traffic is heavier, drop-off and pickup. Appearance, it'll have a residential look with lap siding and asphalt roof, so it'll fit into the aesthetics of the rest of the homes there. Building location with respect to the lot, it's 35 feet from the street. It's 92.5 feet from, there is really north, south, east, west in the town, but what we would call west, there's 92.5 feet. It's 15 feet from the east, plus there is a 50-foot vacant lot that belongs to the neighboring home there. There were they asked if there were other locations that were considered. The answer was yes. Many of these locations did not have utilities such as water and sewer, or they might have water but not sewer, or vice versa. There were some other things that were brought up concerning it just wasn't a good area in commercial areas, the industrial areas, that type of thing. And this, to the people that are applying for the conditional use permit, felt that it was the best fit for what they were doing. There was a discussion on property valuations. Now, when it comes to property valuations, there's a difference of opinion there. Some say that it could increase the property valuation, some say it could decrease the property valuations. I don't think that the people that applied, Sarah and Alex, could actually answer that. It wasn't really in their purview to do that. So those were the, as I visited with Chelsea, myself, and Keith was at that meeting. If there was anything else that I had missed there, they didn't think that I had. So then when, as far as the other discussion that was brought up, there was letters from the Washburn School, Rainbow Energy, Washburn Life, Falkirk Mine, Heddletwood CPA, State District 8 House Representative Anna Novak. Just a brief summary of what some of those highlights were, those letters were. These were all letters of support. The school talked about how they have experienced the loss of students, added stress to employees to find daycare, and then also talked about the economic impact of people coming into town with more students and more money spent locally. Rainbow Energy talked about their 30+ employees at Coal Creek and how both for their future and existing employees, daycare has been an ongoing problem. Washburn Life said it is timely and essential to Washburn's growth and well-being, boosting business and the local economy, attract new businesses and residents to Washburn. Anna Novak, District 33, stated that there is a statewide shortage, the opportunity for Washburn to get this grant. People want to move to a small town to be able to raise their family. Falkirk was very similar to Rainbows as far as for current and future employees to be able to keep their employee base. I received 5 or 6 emails from people in support of it this last week, just to, they kind of echoed all the sentiment that was put into this here. So that's just a brief summary of, and Mark, you were there, Keith, you were there, of what was done. I think there was one other thing that was stated. No, it's just, one was as far as the location for the opportunity for outdoor activities because of the size of the yard that they will have, so. And Keith, you were there, and I don't know if I missed anything, I just tried to kind of highlight it, this is just a summary, of it, so.
Mark, would you have anything?
No, just that, there was the protest against it.
There were no protest letters. The protest letter's an actual protest.
Right.
Right.
There was protests against it. That,
Right.
Mr. Everly spoke up,
I guess-
number of, neighbors. I believe there was 6 of them that were there that were against the project, so.
And almost all adjoining to that property. It's very,
Right.
in that
Right, yep.
very close area.
I guess that's what I had under the concerns that were, of why they were
Right.
opposed to it, so.
Yeah, just
Okay.
clarifying.
Yep.
Just want to make sure that they were heard.
So that's
Okay.
it's a double agenda item here. Do you want to move to 14 then for planning and zoning recommendation?
Sure.
So the planning and zoning recommendation by a 4-to-1 vote was for the daycare special use permit to be approved. And so to get it on the I guess to get the ball rolling, I would make a motion that we approve the recommendation that comes from planning and zoning to approve a conditional use permit for Sarah and Alex Erickson to build a daycare on 4th Avenue.
And I would second.
Okay.
Is there any question? Is there any questions from the crowd that? We did receive a letter tonight. If you don't mind, I'll read it.
Sure.
Okay. To the Washburn City Commissioners, this letter has informed the city of Washburn of our concerns about a daycare that is proposed to be built in our neighborhood on 4th Avenue, lots 9, 10, 11, block 2, Tewksbury. Is that
Tewksbury edition.
Tewksbury? Okay, thank you. Edition in Washburn, North Dakota. The zoning committee modified the law to allow for a commercial building to have a conditional use permit. We would encourage the city to reconsider not placing a commercial-like building daycare in this residential area. We all agree that there's no doubt a daycare is needed, but not at this lot. We think the community would better serve by placing the daycare in a different location. Thank you, signed by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 13 of the neighbors.
The conditional use permit, or excuse me, the actual permitted uses under R1 are single family dwelling, of course, but it can actually be churches, schools, public facilities, libraries, parks, and schools included, accessory buildings and structures and home occupation. Conditional use permit would be daycare facilities, modular homes, municipal offices, including city, county, and state official, or state offices. And that's the reason why they went with the conditional use permit, because the daycare fits in there. If they were building a church or came under the term of preschool, or if there was a public facility put in there, they wouldn't even have to come. And that was the, I guess, the information that Carol Carlson, who's our most senior member on planning and zoning, brought up the fact that if, and I think that was her input, is fact, if churches and schools and these other things can be there, why is there that much difference in intrusion between that and a daycare? I apologize for bringing that up late. I had that in my notes of the input that Carol had put in the summary, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
No,
So
that's
I just
fine.
wanted to speak that on her behalf, so.
No, I've heard that before, so.
Yes.
My one question on that is, so say if this does get built, say they're here, for some reason they cease to have a daycare, does that have to go back to residential? I mean,
Actually, everybody in an R1, including me and you, could do any of this.
gotcha.
You know what I'm saying?
Is there just any kind of safeguard for the citizens living next to it, that it would have to go back to basically a residential structure, you know?
I don't think we can put that stipulation on legally because they're following, I mean, I'm not a lawyer, because they're following the ordinances. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that if it's not a daycare, they're not gonna open up a church or anything else. So, I mean, maybe you are, I'm not sure.
It
But,
is staying R1,
yeah, it is.
just with the conditional use
with the
permit.
conditional use.
It won't change out of residential.
Right, but
Right.
just in the defense of the
Yes.
owners around it,
Right.
they have some say of what
Right.
would maybe come in there next.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
if it's not a daycare, can we put anything on there that has to go back to a residential setting without their approval? I mean, is there,
That's a good question. I don't know whether we can put that on there, because then you'd be putting a burden on them that isn't on anybody else in R1.
But the only thing that could go in there, say the daycare does close, would be one of these things listed already that's permitted in there.
Yeah. 'Cause like,
Now I think if it was a day closed, their daycare's been accepted, you can maybe allow another daycare to go in there, or have them go through the same permit as well of them shutting down because you gave this conditional use permit to them. But it's staying R1, so they're still very limited on what can go in that building.
gotcha. And
Just to clarify
Yeah.
how that R1
yeah,
works.
so it stays R1.
just so they don't have any kind of riprap, say if they do close, that building doesn't go to something that would be a burden to the neighborhood,
Right.
you know?
And that's why they went with conditional use instead of a commercial,
Gotcha.
you know. R3 would have given them more options too. Because they wanted it to be clear that they wanted a daycare, and I'm sure it would go back to residence, nobody knows the future. You know, so, but I guess my point is that we couldn't put any restriction on them that would be on anybody else in an R1. Just my thought on it.
So what you're saying, Tim, is that only what's stipulated in the R1 is the only thing that can ever be built there, or use that building again.
Unless they went through the same.
Unless they went through a process to get it rezoned or another
So it
conditional
could
use
be a
permit.
Different situation
Yeah.
again.
Yeah, and that would be with any, because that's been done in other places in town, not too far away from you. There's a conditional use permit that someone's operating out of, you know, something totally different. So I mean, I guess this is a specific instance. I mean, we're specific for this day and time. I can't predict what the future's gonna be, Francis. But, cause like I said, all of us living in R1 could do any of these things, you know, or if we're in an R3, of course, it expands to even more type of home, you know, modular homes, trailer houses are different, all that type of thing. But, the way it sits is this, you can't I don't see how you could put a restriction on them that we wouldn't put on ourselves, that would be put on ourselves too. The restriction is R1, so, but I mean, you could sell your house for a public building, you know, in R1. If somebody the county needed office space, you could sell it, you know, and it would fit into that, it fits in
As long as it was okayed by the zoning committee.
actually, it wouldn't even have to, because it already fits in R1.
cause it's already there,
It's already
on
there.
that specific lot.
On yours too, cause you're R1. My point is just trying to make an example that if you wanted to sell your house to, because the county wanted to put a county library there, it would fit the zoning ordinance. You know, and that's why the daycare being excluded from that is kind of odd, you know, in the ordinance, so. But I like say, for us to put a restriction on them, I don't know whether it would even be legal, you know, but because it can revert back to R1, just like you could change your home into anything in R1 without coming before planning and zoning. So I don't know if that answers your question, but that's who I thought of it anyway, so.
I guess my thoughts are like, I understand all of these people's concerns and I don't take that lightly. But the planning and zoning committee have gone together, looked at it all and voted it 4-1. So everyone's not gonna be happy with every decision in a town of 1,200 people. I don't love that a certain place opened a block from my house. But it was a lot, you know, it's under law, it can do it. So I just think went through the proper channels, it was passed. Everyone's not always gonna be happy.
I got one thing to, I was able to meet with a couple of the property owners, the neighbors to this, heard their concerns. They were valid concerns, I wanna say that. Part of it is because there's no curb and gutter, or where, you know, the street was done 10 years ago, so, the neighbors are concerned with all the other traffic, the times, the parking, all that, so.
I don't see where curbing is gonna be an issue because they're putting an apron right up to the street.
But people parking and driving off of the road. And then people parking on other people's property across the street, and then if they drive off the road into their
You think
grass.
that would be a concern with 10 parking spots though?
Well,
I
let me
mean-
finish, no, that's fine.
25 kids.
So I did take that all into consideration,
Can I ask,
so.
is that gonna make us have specials again when they're almost paid off?
Well, I'm almost done. So,
Okay.
okay, so I'm hoping that if it does get approved, that the Ericksons will do what they can not to damage the road because when, I know something about when you're gonna build a house, you're gonna have to have bigger equipment come in, blah, 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 to protect the shoulder of the road. I talked to them about the aesthetics of the building, if they could make it look as much like a home, so it doesn't look like a business. And then say if down the road, if they were to ever, decide that the daycare would be closed, it'd be easily transferred over into a house, so. But we're not in the position to put any kind of pressure on them to do something. It's up to them to be a good neighbor and try to.
In answer to your question, if there is road damage or potholes or anything else, that's paid for by the city. Specials come when a road is completely redone, it's, say, you know, it's milled, it's repaved, things like that. Now, water and sewer, of course, are special directly to whoever the water and sewer goes to.
Yeah.
You know, because they're the only
Connections.
benefits of it. But to answer to your question, if some of this equipment breaks off the side of the road, then that's not gonna be special to you. So it's only if a road is completely redone in there, type of thing. A lot of times I don't believe even chipping and sealing is special, so it just comes out of the maintenance fund of the city.
We can levy for that, so.
Right, yeah.
Tim, or
Whoever, if I could clarify my point relative to curb and gutter during the zoning commission is, my statement was that there is no curb and gutter, and traditionally the streets are typically a little bit narrower, you have less parking, and I indicated that, you know, I do think that there is gonna be, you know, opportunities or potential to do off, you know, off their parking lot just for, if it's a slug time or anything, so that was my statement. It is a little bit narrower and there is no curb to kind of contain that traffic.
Any more discussion?
Do you have public comment too? Or is it currently open for public comment?
Yeah, it's,
So I just want to make that clear, it's open for public comment if you guys wanted, if anyone had anything to say.
Yes, my question would be is, they've explained that they're going to get a grant to build this. Who's gonna own this property when it's all done? Who's,
You will.
so you'll own that?
It'll be ours, yes.
So how is this not a business? I don't understand that part of it. You guys own it and you'll rent it to the daycare, correct? And the daycare will then bring kids in and get money from that, so
It's still
how
a
is this
daycare
not a
under the
business
R1.
that's going in there?
It's not commercial still,
Could
it's
we-
a daycare building.
Could we
Yeah.
put a, could we put a business in our homes, you're saying?
There are
Yes.
home businesses, absolutely. That's where Healthwood CPA started out, was in,
Yeah.
in Dwight's.
Right on Main Street.
Yeah,
So if something happens to this and it doesn't work after a couple of years, then that's you guys' property?
Correct.
Even with the grant?
They own the land.
Yeah, the land is ours.
Yeah.
Now.
But the building will be yours too.
Correct. Yeah. Correct.
And I just have one more quick thing. It's really hard to get a hold of any of you guys to try to discuss this stuff when nobody has a cell phone number listed anywhere we can get it.
they're all listed on the city website, all the commissioners.
Oh, I went on there and I didn't find any of them.
I got
Should-
12
should-
phone calls.
Yeah, it should all be on there, email addresses, everything, it's
I
all
can,
on.
And Brianne texted me on your behalf.
Yeah, she wouldn't let give me your number.
She said she offered it and you didn't want it.
Should be right on the website, right? Yeah.
And I gave it all the commissioners' phone numbers for this reason, or for this.
Which is
Yeah.
really good. I'm sorry I wasn't in the phone calls as a negative thing. Thank you everyone for calling. Yeah, that was a good thing to
Yep.
exercise your voice, for sure.
okay,
I guess I have a comment, like specifically where I have a lot of trouble with our ordinance, just the zoning and restrictions and that sort of stuff. You can put a church there, you can put a school there with none of this, no meetings, no nothing. And I just really have to credit the Ericksons for doing this correctly. They could have called this the Little Hooligans Learning Academy, and obviously different registrations and that sort of stuff, and just blasted it right in there. No notes, no nothing, just there it is, you know. But they decided to go the proper way, and I just have to give them kudos for that, for sure.
I would also like to add that the need for this is huge. And this is probably Washburn's one and only opportunity to get a facility like this in a small town, which is also incredibly difficult.
Can I, sorry, Chris Lyman, I wasn't able to attend the original meeting. I am a current recipient of the daycare services that we have, and I can let you know that we were on the wait list for well over a year. We were in Washburn, we chose Washburn because we knew that there was availability of daycare. We chose it because we love the town, we knew that it has a good school. That was all factors in why we chose to move here, because we want to have a future here. And part of that is access to daycare. And we finally were able to get in, and to know that there's another 15 families or so that are still waiting to get in. You know, we've been on the other side of that, and the fact that this is gonna expand some of that opportunity to other families, I think it's a win for the community in a big way. And so, yeah, I apologize I wasn't able to attend the original public hearing, but I think it's a good fit.
I would also like to add that all my children went to that building and there's no place for them to play. There's no outside yard, it's gonna be huge for them to get to go there and have a yard for those kids to play.
And I don't think any of us, dislike the fact that they're going to open daycare, it's just where it's at,
Change is hard,
Yeah.
change is hard, and before you know it, you might love it, you might love all the
No,
daycare
that's-
next to it.
Yeah.
Well, we gotta put them someplace,
I'd
unfortunately.
like to know that all the other options were exhausted as far as finding a place to put it.
There's no other.
And I know there's one other place that you guys probably haven't heard of, but Matt Richards, you know, where he
Mhm.
parks his building, kinda down, or his trailers down by you,
Mhm.
he'd be open to, somebody, putting a bid in on that lot that he has there.
Is it a residential?
I believe it is.
So
So
we'd
the
be doing
problem
the same
with,
thing.
so
It
the
would be the
problem,
same thing,
the
but
problem-
there's nobody around it hardly.
but the problem with that is that our grant needs to be extended by June 30th of 2025. So to put up a building with winter coming, we would never make it. So,
It would be no different than what it is right now.
You could get
Right, and that's the
extension.
issue. So basically, you're just saying
No,
pass
they
the buck
already
to somebody else.
They have the land.
You have an
Blueprint's
offer
made
from
for
a
this
person
piece
who
of land.
has.
But they already own the land.
Yeah, and he would be.
No, I'm saying
they-
these people already own the land.
Yes, we
So
own
they've
the
already
land.
made an offer to a private resident, just
But-
like Matthew Richards is,
Yeah.
purchased the property, and now they're doing this with that property.
We have
And I also
gone through
believe-
multiple editions of, for this spot.
I also think we should all be very aware of personal property rights. I mean, as soon as your neighborhoods or your neighbors can tell you what to do with your own land, do you own it? Or does your neighbors own it?
That's right.
You know what I mean?
That's right. And that's what this is all about. We were trying to bring up other options.
And we appreciate all the other options.
And
we
that's
do.
what the whole thing, when it all started, that was the whole thing. Were all the other options exhausted?
Right.
They were,
right.
yes.
That's what we were getting at.
Kind of to add on to what Tyler was saying about, you know, you owning your own personal property and that sort of stuff. When you want neighbors, you want good neighbors. And I don't know the Ericksons personally, but it seems like they kind of took everything into account. Like there was concerns of parking. They brought that into account. The building design has parking in it. You know, noise on either side. They put it as far away as they could from both. There's 20 feet, 90 feet, and there's a 70-foot empty lot. You know, they could have just crunched it right there, slammed it on over, and it'd be just a giant, like, mega facility. And then just with all the things, it seems like they are at least willing to listen. There's some concerns about people driving on yards. They said, come talk to us, you know, so they're willing to hear you out and that sort of stuff. So, yeah, I just wanted to say that as well.
And I also think that the neighborhood's gonna get good neighbors with this. I mean, you also need to remember that someone else could buy this property, and you might not like them at all. They can have parties every night, every day of the week, 40 cars every day, and there's not a thing you can do about it, you know what I mean?
Okay. I think we're done with discussion.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes. It's approved.
Thank you for all your input.
Yep. Okay, we're gonna.
Yeah, you wanna take an yeah, let's take an intermission, Mark. Can we?
Sure. Take, 5 minutes. Okay. It is 7 o'clock approximately.
Buddy show up from Texas?
Yeah.
Did he ever think he thought he was good?
He was a lot more. Let's get out of here. You know, Tim, I would expect.
Sometimes you should.
I was expecting.
Oh, true.
I was expecting try to reason.
I can make you crazy.
Let's just see.
Hey. Did you go on vacation?
Uh-huh.
No?
Wow.
Maybe not.
I see, was it your mom? What's that one?
No, but we went to Clearwater. Right after Halloween. They said, no, we want $5. And then as we're flying, so, right as we landed, like, oh, cool.
So you got to experience that firsthand.
I got to experience having plans canceled and driving bumper to bumper traffic out of Florida to Dome, travel for meetings, 2 years to apply for Nashville.
Number 3, 5 is 8.
But my mom cleaned my windows and so.
There, that's
So I paid her a little, she wouldn't take any more. I like directly wired it into her account through my brother who works at the bank. She's just feel guilty letting my 69-year-old grandmother
They treated me
mom
fair.
do things that I
don't like to do, or know how, let's be honest, I don't know how to take apart my
Well,
number.
I tell you, I learned a lot.
Did your kids have fun Saturday?
The next time we
Hold
have
on,
assessment,
Saturday.
there's
The
nothing's
wedding
gonna
dance,
happen.
when you
Yeah, sorry, it was
It's
long,
just
I was
really
telling you
special
before, we were in Florida
All
with
these
Central.
guys did, the city commission.
So I'm like, which
they
Saturday
felt
with
that they
Nana?
were on
Yeah.
The assessment board, and they didn't
Josh
let
kinda,
you
he
do
petered out early
what you're
probably because of our
supposed to do.
previous week.
So they gave you the numbers.
Oh,
And you-
Alice.
what do you guys are-
There's two weddings on Saturday, wasn't there? One at Paul and.
Who's the one was in town here?
All three of you
You'll know better than me.
had no experience
No,
in special
Schumacher,
assessment
real
before.
Okay.
And then you don't appoint the special assessment committee until the project's already been started.
When you have. I believe you
These
graduated.
people are supposed to be at office, they're supposed to have some training, so that they do this shit right the
Yeah,
first
when,
time.
yeah, Zimmerman
When my
and
special
Hope got
assessment
married
was 10 times higher.
Deadwood, Rapid City, the same weekend.
They have 40 family members parking on the street.
He's got a lot of.
Yeah.
Sanford Strong.
He's got a lot of assessments that he's got. He's got more.
Per lot, I'm talking per lot, not total. You use your total.
I was cleaning
My
Fish
assessment
House.
was 10 times higher.
Here's where you
No,
I should have, it's not my responsibility.
Chelsea, when would you like me to sign that paperwork for the?
Tomorrow, cause I'll need to have checks printed, vouchers signed, and then we can sign them. So if you wanna come in sometime tomorrow.
What time works for you?
After 10, so I can get checks printed.
Okay, let's get.
I was told by Lindell, that's not for you.
Sounds good.
Yeah, that should, yeah, then checks, I'll have checks printed, you can sign those, sign vouchers, and then we can sign that resolution as well.
There, and the auditor will come and give you a number.
Yeah, the nurse scraped not long before he was born.
What did you do?
They cut a section of it out.
All we could do
What,
is,
did they catch a bunch of shit?
all we could do is try to
Yeah.
get it as low as we could for most of
That's
the
what
people.
it's saying, if you had to refer to that.
I dealt with this guy. That was pretty funny. Was no.
Oh, really?
Wouldn't vote for any of that again.
We need a copy of it.
So I gave him a bud,
Copy is
but,
so
so you
far
just have to
up,
place it in
Yeah.
the paper.
His assets are real.
Was that a cell phone number? Chelsea? Was that a cell phone number or was that their office number?
I think it's cell phone.
And so is Tim Doctor.
I'll call him
See,
when I'm here.
those two are gonna work against Mark because of him right there. Yes.
I know, and now I like it more and more because I'm so many petite people. I know.
What's been going on with him and those
Am
other.
I gonna have coffee with Dan Lang?
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah, you go eat some supper.
Yes. You guys are wrong.
How are you? Jamie?
So what's this letter?
Where are you? Party like a rock star Saturday?
It's Tim Doctor.
I stick around.
Hey.
Hey, Richard first.
No, not for this meeting.
Trying to fight a fire, what are you doing? Maybe come later.
Receipt for that.
Auto value? Yes, it's in there. Vouchers in there too.
Good, how are you?
I did it.
So
Your Jamestown voucher.
the bill, so the check's going out.
It's supposed to go to you.
I'm more of a smaller dark.
But I mean, I can take it down.
Oh, no, that's why I like it.
Are you sure?
Or you get the remote one.
Okay. I'm sorry, that went.
And I didn't know how to run the pump.
No, they put it on my
Get
car.
there.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
instead of mailing it, just give it to me, I'll take it down to make sure they get my account number.
Okay.
And if you get them
All right.
signed,
I'm gonna call the meeting back to order. We're on number 15, proposed new street light on Border Street.
The other morning while I was running, and I've noticed it for a while, it's super dark. There's no street lights up on Border Lane. So we have a street light by Senex, we have a street light by Super Pumper, and then that whole new stretch, there's nothing up there. So I texted Clay one day and I asked him how we could get a street light up there too. So Zach met him up there, and while they were looking at it, they proposed two different ideas, or two streetlights going up in there, these little black dots here. So they're gonna kind of light up the curves. One is gonna be on the corner of Border Lane and Dover, and then kind of in the middle of Border Lane. So it'll light up the curb area. It'll be a 35-foot pole. They're buried 5 foot deep. Currently, our intersections are at 5. You can put Main is 10, and 15 is highway for our brightness that we want to put it at. They install the poles for free. It would only be the additional charge for those two streetlights up there onto our monthly bill. I was talking with Zach after him and Clay met up there. They thought that going the brightness of 10 that's on Main would be sufficient enough to light up that area by putting 2 more streetlights up there. And then it helps out with those storage units up there as well, as there's no lighting.
Yeah, it is dark up there in that street. And it'd be similar to what they added a light back here too last year on a pole. They pay for all that, they just charge you the fee of the next, for a light, so. So they figured 2?
Yeah.
Okay, I would move that we have Otter Tail put in 2 lights, cause they own them anyway.
I'll second that. Discussion? Ooh,
Flat tire.
don't say that. Discussion. What's the charge now, charging us for lights? Gotta put my heel back here.
$46. Do you want to grab one of
Per
the
month?
Otter Tail? The Otter
Oh,
Tail bill
just-
should be in
just-
there.
Yeah, that sounds,
like roughly.
that sounds rough.
Yeah. And it'd just be that monthly fee of what we pay for all the other ones with those 2 additional.
Lights are a safety issue, so we should catch that, so.
Yeah, it's really dark up there.
And then if anyone notice that a street light isn't working, notify the city auditor. And we'll try to get the utility company to correct that.
Yeah, I've sent Clay a list recently, and then he compiles them, and once he can get a boom truck in here, then he'll replace them. So if there's one out, just let me know and I can let him know.
You do have, I think Bart Creed mentioned you have that one on.
Yep, I have let Clay know.
Okay, thank you.
He just doesn't have a boom truck, so he can't do it. He has to wait to get a boom truck from Garrison, and then they go and fix
Right.
multiple ones.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you. So.
Yes.
We'll vote?
Yes.
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 Yes. Okay, siren maintenance.
And Clayton, feel free to give us your opinion too, I appreciate it, so.
We have our siren hasn't been working up by the school over by Bus Barn. So I emailed Noel, and they work with electronic communications. It is ours, so it would be our responsibility. Electronic communications has come here so far. The bill is in there to be paid. Right now it sits at $900, but they gave 3 options of what we could do. When Clayton stopped in today, I asked for his opinion on this as well, as he knows. We can replace the battery charging circuits. The new battery chargers will cost anywhere between about $1,100 with $750 in labor. The whole controller cabinet, our current equipment is 20 years old. It was purchased in 2001, and the radio control board is obsolete. The cabinets are also showing some rust. A new cabinet with updated electronics would cost about $8,500 plus $1,500 in labor. We can continue to run the siren with no battery backup. Option 1 and 2 would also require new batteries, costing about $800, and option 3 wouldn't require any additional cost. So far, they have replaced 2 fuses and some labor. So the bill that will be paid today, that's in there, is $900. But these are our options going forward if we would like.
And our other sirens don't have battery backup.
Correct.
Correct.
I would say part of it, the radio controller that they're talking about is working up there now. The one down here, that's what crapped out on last year, and that was like $2,000 to replace that, I think was the time. If this one's still working, I would say leave it alone until it does finally crap out. It might go a long time, might not. But the battery backup, like I told you guys, that thing has been junk since day one. It never went a full year without having to replace batteries in it. And I would just eliminate that, or leave it the way it is and just.
Use
It'll work
it
without-
as it is without the battery backup.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks Clayton. So that would be option
3.
okay.
Is there any kind of grants for upgrading these poles eventually where we just do 3 or something like that?
In other words, kind of repair it for now and then look for
A grant or something if there's anything out there?
Yeah, I was gonna look for that. I think Wilton just did all theirs and they paid for theirs with, sales and use tax. But definitely could look for a
Nope.
grant for this kind of stuff.
maybe
These
Noel
two
would-
were on a grant, both of these, they were a grant when we got them. And that was, that went through emergency manager at the time.
Noel.
They were a Homeland Security grant.
Okay.
So if you might know of something, I know there's some Homeland Security grants out there, but I don't know if they're good for sirens.
Right. I think that's what Wilton got their backup generator on, was that Homeland Security grant a few years ago.
Yeah, the one we were talking about here.
Right, yeah. But, yeah, Noel would have she's in McLean County, you know, for that, so. Well, I guess I would move that we would go with option number 3. You know, to get it up and running, and then I guess I'll make that as a motion, we can talk about in discussion.
Second.
And then, you know, I like the idea, cause there is, like Jamie brought up, there is some Homeland Security money out there for different things, especially if it has to do with fire and rescue and, you know, that type of thing, emergency services, so. Yeah, if you ever see anything, Clayton, if not, I can give Noel a call, just cause I had visited with her, you know, a while back and something else, so I'll just ask Noel if there's.
She's more up on it than I am.
Yeah, and I know that we're getting to the end of the year, and that's kind of when the deadline is to get all your paperwork in, you know, before there's more allocation for the following year, so.
I could look around that grant finder.
Yep,
thing,
okay.
too, so
Yeah, sounds good.
I wrote it down.
Okay, vote for 3,
Yes.
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 yes. All right. And then our service agreement. You have anything to bring up? Are you satisfied with the service agreement? Chelsea?
So, that's just, which was our mark, they have changed names again. We went through this, roughly like a year ago, I think. I had to call one of the reps, last week for a question on one of our bills, and I had spoke to Randy then, and he asked, if we would be willing to re-sign our service agreement. And I know there was something in there before that if we canceled our agreement with them, if a business were to sell, then it goes on to the next business, and there were a couple different things that we didn't like on there.
So we actually didn't have a signed one before.
No, it expired, and then we never re-signed it after last year because we didn't like a couple different things.
And they just kept on coming.
Correct. So Randy asked if we would be interested in signing it again. He said this over, anything that we did not like in the service agreement, we could cross off. And they would look at that and adjust our service contract to state how we would like it.
Yes, you know, I'll be honest, I didn't have time to look this over because of everything else that was going on. I don't think it's a critical timeline on it.
Right.
I would move that we would table this until November. Give me opportunity, or, you know, if I have any questions, cause they've changed names, I think, at least a half a dozen times since I first started using them, so I'm familiar with the people down there, so I would move that we would table until next month.
Alright,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
I, yeah, I would just like to make sure what we're, you know,
Sure.
cause the other contract was not friendly to us, so.
Okay. Keith, you wanna talk about your? Oh.
So it'd be the preliminary
Yep.
report. Yeah, so, basically, we talked about going to the park board to speak with them. We voted to send me. I went there, then we wanted to make a committee. We came back last meeting. We formed that committee. That committee since then has met with the park board's committee. These are just the preliminary notes. What these notes are from that meeting, which was held in this room, so if you wanted the video or whatever, that would be available. This is the notes from my perspective of what we talked about, what we put in place. I'm not looking for any decision tonight or anything like that, because it's been sent to the park board, their half of the committee, and then it's gonna be sent back to us, and then that'll be the one where then we'll bring it here, we'll get everyone's input, if, hey, maybe we should change this or whatever. But the reason why I put them in here now is just, transparency, everyone can see it, this is what we talked about, this is what was discussed, and then, so if there was any objections or anything like that, it would probably be next meeting, I believe, we'll kind of look into that, where then we can bring that up. I just don't think it'd be worthwhile right here at this meeting doing that, just because it could change when the park board sends it back, because maybe I misheard something or something like that, so. That's just what this is, and as you see in bold, all the bold information is not official until it's approved by both boards. So, if there's any questions or concerns or anything like that?
So, yeah, I have a question. So, when I went to the park board meeting to initially just talk to Mr. Sanis about how we can support each other, and it wasn't to go over any of these line items that you had. Mr. Sanis, the park board president, then asked if I would come to a meeting.
Sorry, Mark, that's probably the next agenda item.
I know, but this has to do with those line items. Is there anything that I brought up or talked about supporting them?
Yeah, in the meeting.
Contradict?
Yes, it is. In the
Okay.
meeting, you talked about whenever they have an issue, they should go to the office with anything, whether it be wood chips or whatever it may be. What was discussed in that meeting was it would go to Adam. If it's something small that Adam can handle, then he would be the one to delegate it either to a portfolio holder or to the office. Like I said, that's not official yet, but that was contradictory, and your meeting there caused a lot of confusion in this committee meeting. Because we had to kind of diffuse a lot of things that you did say, where it was like, okay, well, actually, so we have to talk about that. So basically, the things spoken here, for any things that exactly contradicted, I mean, it's in front of you, so you could tell me that yourself, I guess, but yeah.
Well, okay, when you guys voted to be on this committee, I was on vacation, correct?
Correct.
So I wasn't aware of what conspired at the meeting till after I got back. And then, I guess Jack and I have always been friends, we're on the ambulance service together, and it was more or less, hey, and I don't know why it was an issue for him to say, well, we better have transparency, where I'm more out front, and I did notify Chelsea. I said, hey, I got invited to a park board meeting, and Jack's put me on the agenda. Was I supposed to go, oh my God, I can't step on somebody's toes just in case somebody gets their feelings hurt, And then in this, well,
Would
so,
you like to move on to the next thing, maybe?
pretty soon.
Okay.
So anyways, I've had several meetings with different organizations, businesses. Do I have to be concerned that I can't go to a meeting and I have to be careful of what I talk about for every detail I bring up?
So it's not every detail, I'm gonna actually move into what the actual thing is, because then we can get some context of exactly what my complaint is.
Sure.
It's not that you went to the meeting, it's when you were asked if you had permission to be at that meeting, you said yes.
No,
Which
I
is
said,
that-
yeah.
Oh, I apologize, you said yep, you are so
Yeah.
correct. You did say yep. My apologies, everyone. He did say yep, just so everyone can hear that on the recording
Okay.
as well. But, so yes, my letter says, fellow commissioners, we have an issue to address with one of our in-process projects. That project be our reconciliation and ongoing working together with the park board. We are seeking the better of our relationship with them. Relationships are built on trust. Without it, how are you to operate in any sort of professional or personal relationships? Stretching the truth or misrepresenting things spoken is lying. Trust is destroyed through deception and lying. That is what I seek you to discuss here tonight. At this most recent park board meeting on 10/9/2024, Mark Lelm lied about him having permission from our board to be there, and by that misrepresented the contents of what he had to say had the backing of the rest of his board. The video from the meeting is found here, and then there's a link with the video for the meeting. The segment is in question. It's at the 8-minute, 50-second mark. Judy asked Mark when he's approaching the table if he has permission from his board to be there. He replies with a yep. My fellow commissioners, when was this permission granted? I've looked through our last few meeting minutes. I did not find anywhere about us sending Mark to go speak to the park board. The only mention I found of this was in an email that is included with the packet. Mark says in that email that he was invited to speak, which we covered in the next section. Beyond that, please correct me if I'm mistaken, but there was absolutely no instance of Mark being sent to speak on behalf of the city to the park board. What I did find was a unanimous vote for myself to go speak to them in the next meeting. We formed a committee after my report, and then we followed up on that. To be clear, Mark voted yes for me to go to that park board meeting. The including screenshot is from our August meeting minutes, and after voting yes, less than 2 months later, he chose by his own volition to undermine that process by proposing a private meeting with the park board president to discuss the relationship between the city and park board, which is in that text message you see where he says specifically that he wants to discuss the relationship between the park board and the city. When that private meeting was proposed, President Jack made the wise decision to have that discussion at an open meeting where there be transparency rather than in private. Mark misrepresented his text between himself and Jack as well. In the email he sent to Chelsea, he simply stated that he was invited. Saying you're invited implies that the initiation of the meeting came from the other party. This is simply not true. You can see from the included text messages that Mark wanted to meet in private with the park board president about issues that were already in process. Jack then directed him to the proper process. This is far from an invitation to stretching the truth, which is a lie. Lying breaks public trust, and we should expect more from our fellow commissioners in our interactions with one another. The question is how we should proceed. I propose that Mark would correct his wrongs and write an apology letter to the park board for his betrayal of public trust. If is refused, I propose that we would write one on behalf of our member. It is important that we all hold each other accountable for integrity and honesty, and thank you for your consideration. Keith Yapik Jr. So that's what I put out there. Where this kind of comes from is how governmental body works. When you're elected to an office, you as an individual have no power. I have here a primer on the power of governing bodies in North Dakota and the transference thereof. I wrote this morning, but it refers a lot of century code. So the question, what gives authority to a governing body in North Dakota? Who holds that power? How is that power transferred? I seek to answer those questions in this small write-up. We can see from Chapter 40, Section 5, Powers of Municipalities of North Dakota Century Code, the power of a municipality is given to a governing body. A governing body is defined in North Dakota Century Code Chapter 40:01, general provisions as below. Governing body means the city council or the board of city commissioners as the result may or of a municipality concerned or affected. Furthermore, we can see in the Washburn Home Rule Charter, all power vested to the city is given to the same. Article 2, the governing body to exercise powers. So then there's a whole bunch of things in there about what exactly they have powers to do, and it's always referred to as governing body, which is the whole thing. So then it's like, okay, well, how does this governing body make decisions then? If they're given all the power, how is this power exercised? I'm glad you asked. A governing body is made up of elected officials. A quorum must be present to conduct business as seen below in North Dakota Century Code 40:0603. Quorum is defined as a majority of the members of the governing body of a municipality shall constitute a quorum, should do business, but a smaller number may adjourn from time to time. The governing body may compel the attendance of absentees under such penalties as may be. So how is one to operate as an individual that's part of this board if all power is given to the group? This happens at meetings, through motions, with a majority vote on issues that are put forth. North Dakota Century Code 40:0911, meetings of the board, regular and special. The action on departmental matters, the Board of City Commissioners shall meet in regular meetings at least once a month, and at such additional times as the board by ordinance may establish. All regular meetings may be held at a time. And it goes on for the rest of the ordinance, but the main thing is no action of the board shall be effective unless upon a vote of a majority of a quorum of the members of such board. So as we can see from North Dakota Century Code, the power belongs to the board. And if an individual wants to exercise that power of that board, it must be through a majority decision of that board. An individual cannot claim that power for themselves just because of their position. So for example, if you want to go talk to the park board, that's entirely fine, but you don't say that you are there to represent, that you have our permission to be there. You could say something like, well, I'm just here to gather information from my portfolio, bring it back, or something like that. Because when you say that you have permission, you are implying that authority that's right here. If I'm here to discuss this business, it can then be assumed that possibly you discussed this with us first. If you gave us permission, there'd be a reason we gave you permission. It's very misrepresenting, and it's not how it should be done.
So yup is, I think that's pretty petty for somebody to ask me that. Dana was sitting next to me when I was there, and when that question come up, and I go, yep, and I think he kind of muddled the words, yeah, they know he's here, you know? Maybe you didn't say
The
that,
thing is,
but,
Mark, I don't know why you were there at all, because you told me on the phone that it's because of your portfolio of buildings and grounds. What you wanted
Yeah,
to talk,
okay.
excuse me one moment, what you wanted to talk about was Dave Pyer's street, which is not our street, and a culvert that you wanted to put next to there. It had nothing to do with our buildings or grounds.
no, if you read my statement, it says like. I was just giving examples
But
of what we can do to try to work together. I said, maybe we would have, okay, Michelle?
Is it okay for me to talk?
Sure.
Everyone okay? Alright, I wrote it down because I'm a bad speaker in public. As a proud member of this community, I'm appalled and saddened by the childish behavior of certain city commissioners and park board commissioners. You know who you are, so I won't include names. With all that's going on in this world right now, I feel very lucky to live in such a wonderful community. However, the sanctity of our city is in jeopardy due to ongoing feuds, both personal and business-like, in both Park Board Commission and City Commission. These are commissioners who are voted in by our community, therefore are expected by the community to work together in a positive and fruitful manner to better our experience of residing in Washburn. This ongoing childish, petty, and ignorant behavior needs to stop so you can focus on Washburn's future. Instead of division, we should be encouraging and supporting one another. We are supposed to set good examples for our kids and generations to come. Yet what example are you setting? Not getting along, bringing people down instead of lifting them up, being unkind to one another? There's a big problem in Washburn, getting people to volunteer for services such as ambulance, fire, and Washburn Life, and to keep community events alive. How do you expect them to do so when, by your example, being involved is so negative? I, for one, want to see Washburn thrive and lead by example for other communities. But it takes being kind and respectful to each other. Those of us who voted for Mark for president of commission want to see change, and it was promised transparency of our city office. We should be thankful that he attends meetings and is involved in keeping that promise. However, it seems like present and past administration commission members are wanting him to fail in this position. I hope I speak for other community members when I say stop acting like childish bullies and move towards being the upstanding citizens you claim to be. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Michelle. I agree with what you're saying, except lying should not be tolerated. If someone's gonna lie, that's an issue. We need to operate in truth, because
Don't
lying
you have
disgraces
bigger
any
things
sort of.
to worry about right now?
We're
He
doing-
went to a
We're running a
meeting.
lot of different things.
He
but-
went to a meeting. Don't you
but
have other
he
things to
misrepresented
worry
the
about?
entire board,
This is petty, very petty,
your opinion,
and
No,
you're
it's,
wasting
it's my
everyone's time.
opinion too.
your, both of your opinion.
Keith, there's, okay, give me a minute here. There are so many things that have gone wrong between the city and the park board, Washburn Life, the American Legion, and it all comes from the city and goes out. This is another prime example of the city going after somebody because you've lost an argument, because you lost an argument with Washburn Life over you wanted, yeah, I'm glad I got your
I have
attention.
no idea what you're talking about, but go ahead.
When you
When
were
Rochelle-
asking,
when- Right, when Rochelle accused him, Doctor, and I of sexual
Yeah,
discrimination because we.
and
yeah.
you were
Okay.
demanding apologies.
Yep.
And the Washburn Life Board denied you of that.
Keith, can I
Right.
ask you a question?
So, I mean, it's just, when I was on the park board, you know, today I came into this office with a policeman because a whistleblower overheard commissioners talk that if I come in here alone, there's a chance that somebody might, oh, I gotta quit doing that with my chair. Accuse me of a false claim against me to discriminate. That was back during the election. That whistleblower has been talked to by the law enforcement, and their information has been proved. Okay, this is just part of it. This is so petty that
Keith,
this
can I ask
stuff
you a
is going
question?
on, because
Hold on.
I've had complaints from the Legion, how they've been treated by city officials. I've had, the only ones they don't seem to attack is the Lions Club and the churches. I've had complaints from almost everybody about the behavior, how they're mistreated. When I was on the park board, when I brought up the state aid funds, I was not only attacked by the city, I was attacked by park board members because I was standing up for the park board. And I was supposed to step in line and keep my mouth shut. This is just another thing going on. It's why we're even sitting here talking about this is total nonsense in front of the community. You know how petty that is?
I mean, so
Some
what
people
you're-
need to grow up.
What you're doing is an ad hominem attack, which is a logical fallacy. You're not actually engaging with my arguments because you can't. So you're just attacking me as a character. And go ahead.
I'm bringing
Keith, I
up,
have a question
Go
though.
for it.
Alright, so did you watch the video January 4th of 2023?
I did, yes.
Between
Twice.
Tim, Judy Beaudry, and Mark?
Yep.
Okay, Judy was there to take notes. That was it. Mark was under the assumption he was gonna be talking about a certain item. But Tim brought up other items that should have been talked about between the commission, right? Why didn't you complain against him?
Why
We
not
have that
complain
one on
against him?
video too, when Mark leaves to go get water, and he and Judy are talking together saying, what can we do to have him change his vote?
Sure.
Yeah,
that-
so why
that's-
don't you
It's
file
actually, it's a really easy answer because I was not the wronged party, right? I was not a part of that actual
Oh,
meeting.
that's a
But
good.
you know
And
what was
Mark,
going
excuse
on.
me,
Yeah,
excuse
you
me.
know,
Yeah.
Mark was asked to file a formal complaint, which he chose not to. So I was allowing for that, but since he was
which
the
I did
offended
today.
party, about a
Because
year
he's
too
not
late, but
petty
yes.
about
No,
this
it's
kind
not
of
a
crap.
year too late, because this is still going on.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Sure. So I guess the question is, as
Because
community, do we
you were
tolerate lying?
HR, I brought it up to you because I didn't wanna press charges. I didn't wanna make a
Press
bigger,
charges?
well, whatever
For the
you wanna
January
call
4th
it,
meeting?
to,
Come on, man.
to make a bigger deal out of it. I just didn't want anyone else treated the same way I was treated at that meeting. You said that, yeah, I'll talk to the other commissioners and let them know, which you didn't do.
Because I was gonna do when I got.
So
your
you
form.
lied to me then.
No, because I told you, please file a formal complaint. and
No,
I'll share
at
with
first
the
you said you were
commissioners.
gonna do it, and when I brought it up about 4 months later, I said, did you ever talk to the commissioners about that January 4th meeting?
And I said, no,
You-
because I'm still waiting for the complaint that I asked you to file that you chose not to file.
Mm.
And that, so I mean, it's that easy. Please file the complaint. It'll be sent out from the office to all the other commissioners, absolutely.
But this is, it all stems from the city going out. Do you ever see the park board raising complaints against the city?
When you were on it, yep.
Oh.
Only over the funds that were mishandled.
There was a new thing every week for about 3 months.
Like what?
I don't remember, it's a.
Talk about the rabbit holes, because I'll bring them up, and every time it,
See, you already know what they are. Do we want to get back to my
No.
actual agenda item?
no, let's talk about
It
it.
looks like it's
Biggest
over there.
problem is, you and Tim Doctor are still a puppet
Yep,
of that man sitting over in the corner, Larry Thomas.
that's right.
Yep.
You guys were that way when you guys were commissioners, you guys had secret meetings, I've seen those two have secret meetings, all the time. And as far as street project, there were street projects that should have been taken care of. You didn't do a dang thing, cause he was on it too, and you wouldn't do anything because he was on it. And then this, other project, the street project that was just done, all that dirt, okay, we settled it out, it came out to 50,000, go ahead and make a smirk. Tim Doctor just made a smirk just like that, and Larry Thomas over there did the same damn thing, so you three are puppets.
She laughed as well.
I did too,
Yeah.
cause
Okay.
the millings.
But you don't have no, you.
I'm new.
There's
You
nothing
know, Larry
funny about
Thomas,
it.
I'm talking.
You have
I'm
lied
talking-
about me.
I'm
I'm
talking-
talking.
Larry,
It's
So
fine for you to-
you said at the last
Larry,
I'm
meeting,
sick of him lying about me.
Larry
he's
said-
not lying, okay?
you said at the last meeting, it cost $50,000 for this dirt with the gravel going over the prices.
Estimated.
Now, which was minimal, but did that $50,000 come off of that street project up there? No, it did not.
No.
Why didn't it?
Well, because
Why
I can answer.
didn't you and him, you guys were supposedly on the street project, why didn't you guys look at any other alternatives, which I had mentioned, I came down here, I was gonna get on the agenda, but I couldn't get on the agenda. This guy made us smirk when I talked about it, and
That's a
then
lie.
when I was talking, Tim Doctor tried to say I was out, we did it out in the hall, and we were right there at that table, right there. But you could have used, we're filling in this, coulee out here. We could have been using dirt to keep filling that in. You guys aren't looking ahead, and
Can I
I
answer
said
your
we could have had a shop out here so that our city vehicles are not sitting outside. They could have gone into a shop. Larry says, that'd have been nice, having a building. And he accused me of saying, he said the dirt was no good, but the dirt was never tested. I'm sure there was other shady things. The back truck, let's bring that back truck up. I heard some things about that. I don't have, any proof on it, but was that back truck bought before any city commissioners knew about it, and had the vote to pay for that back truck? I'm just gonna leave it there, but, you guys are still trying to, you've, at the beginning, have been trying to get after, Mark, and you still are. You guys are still conniving to get rid of him. And the people in Washburn wanted a change because of what, nobody could get on the agenda to speak because of our former president, and now the people are finally getting a chance to voice their opinion.
If I may make a comment on that, I submitted this to the agenda and he tried to remove it, so he's doing the same thing that you're accusing Larry of.
No,
As Chelsea did, he asked to have my agenda item removed.
Yes, he did.
Yes, he did. Correct. So he did the same exact thing Larry did, so what change did we get, Dan? What changed?
can I answer that? Because I wanted to bring it up at a special meeting, so we wouldn't be hashing this over at, what, 9 o'clock? No,
I mean, you're in charge of the meeting, Mark, you're allowing it.
well, I know that.
Where do we wanna go with this particular topic?
Yeah, I make a motion that Mark would write a letter of apology to the park board.
For being involved.
I think you both should apologize to each other and be done with it.
I apologize.
So there's a motion currently on the table. We
I
can get to that in a minute.
apologize
What are you apologizing for?
for upsetting you.
I'm not upset. What are you talking about?
That's sure sounds what you were upset about it. You want an
Come on.
apology from him.
No.
Be a man.
To make this fair, you should both
So,
apologize to each
There's a
other.
motion on the table to have a apology letter go to the park board.
I will
Then
write,
I'm gonna
Write
second it
apology
just so
letter
we
too.
can
Okay.
discuss
Okay.
it, but
So now,
we're not talking about that. I signed up for this because no one wants to do it and I'm finding out why.
yeah,
Because I've worked a 12-hour day and I have,
yeah,
all this stuff, and so we're not gonna bring up things that happened a year ago. I already understand that we're supposed to stick to the agenda items we're on. So he's not asking him to apologize to him, he's saying, we all agreed we would start this side committee for you guys, you and Adam, to talk to the park board. There is no reason for another hand to go in the cookie jar. It seems petty, but that's how things get out of control, is my understanding. I have no allegiance to anyone. I didn't really know anyone when I got up here, so it's just what I've seen in 3 months. And that's how things get out of control, when you let things just you're going there saying, yes, they sent me. Sounds petty, but we didn't send him, that's all he's saying, is my
So
takeaway.
my question is too, Washburn Life, when I was on the board, Rochelle is president, right? And we have all these committees for different things
Mhm.
that people would be on. But Rochelle being the president could oversee all of these committees.
Mhm.
Same thing with portfolios.
So what's wrong with Mark overseeing those portfolios?
I can answer. So it's a difference between overseeing and supersession. Supersession is when you insert yourself and you take that over, and overseeing is being in a managerial capacity. He could have talked to me, hey, what are you guys talking about? Oh, here's some advice, here's some good things that we worked on this last time. No, instead he chooses to go directly to Jack, insert himself into the situation, no contact with us except
And
I'm
what
going.
hurt? What,
Okay.
what,
Because it's completely, it's
What
not
hurt?
decently and in order.
Yeah.
It needs to be decently in order, that's why we operate as a board. He had no power in and of himself to go there and make decisions, do anything back. It's not like he's reporting
you
back
need
to
to
us, nothing like
start
that.
worrying about Washburn.
I am worried about Washburn. We need honesty and transparency. and
Really?
We need to operate
This is
decently
what
in
you're,
order.
this is what you're gonna be arguing about forever. This has been going on for years. And I've had to sit here and watch him be criticized, backstabbed. All he is doing is swimming upstream with you guys. I'm so sick of it. Just keep your personal out of it.
That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, no,
What-
you're
What
not.
am I
Okay.
saying
Yeah,
personal?
no, you're not.
Okay, so we can have closure here, okay? Keith, when I even sent Chelsea an email saying, hey, I got invited, I wanted transparency, blah, blah, blah. You even called me, correct?
Yeah.
To ask me about it. And you're like, why am I going? And I said, hey, I'm just going there, I wanted to talk to Jack. He invited me to come to the meeting. We talked, you didn't say, well, you can't talk there, you shouldn't go. You were fine with me. You said, okay,
I never
I
gave you
just,
permission. I asked why you were going there.
and I told you why, but you didn't say, well, because of the rules, you gotta be really careful on what you do and what you say. You had that opportunity on the phone to do it,
Mhm.
but you didn't. So when we got done talking, you said, oh, okay. You sounded just fine.
Well, because you told me you're gonna go talk about your portfolio. But then when you're there, you tell them that you have our permission to be there. You did not have our permission to be there, Mark.
I didn't bring up
My
that
takeaway, I don't think
question.
you were trying to be like
Yeah.
underhanded, but I
No.
think when you're in this position, you need to
Right.
understand that stuff. That's why
Sure.
I am seeking counsel, asking like, am I allowed to say this? Can I talk to someone like this? Because I don't wanna screw up.
Yeah.
I don't think you were trying to be
No.
shady, but I think there's rules for a reason. And I've been asking people for advice that have done it more, so that would be
Okay.
my advice.
Okay, can I make this really simple? I will make an apology to the park board, okay? But I'm still gonna submit my formal complaint against Tim Doctor and Keith Happett over the past 3 years of all the stuff that you guys have put me through.
Excellent.
Dana, you have something to say?
I'm just trying to keep you guys here, like, there's a motion on the table, can you guys do the motion? And
I
then-
rescind my motion.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Yep. No, I just rescinded my motion. Thank you, Dana. Appreciate it, for sure. So you're gonna do that and then you'll let us know, or?
Sure.
Okay, yeah, and I
I'm a
mean,
bigger man.
that's all it is, Mark. It's things that are done properly, right? Like,
No
I'm not sure
problem.
why you inserted yourself into that, but I'm looking to work amicably and all that sort of stuff. but
Because
the
I have
procedures are proper.
I used to be the park board president. I have a lot of knowledge and I wanted to share my knowledge with Jack. And tell him about projects that I was working on prior to me resigning off the park board.
Mm.
That's all it is.
Sorry, did we talk about line item 18, or did we just go to 19? Did I miss that? I'm sorry.
We moved on. from
We moved on.
the report, yeah.
Keith wanted to move on to the apology letter.
We never did 18 then.
But
No,
there's
he
no
kept
action, it's just a
interrupting it.
report.
What
I mean,
we
it's
just
just a
moved on.
report, so
But-
unless you wanted to make action or whatever, I guess.
I guess, I don't know, do we wanna talk about that at all? Because to me,
Sure.
structure-wise, that seems like a step forward, that part there, if I'm reading this right, that we're trying to figure out city and park board duties.
Mhm.
I think that could move us forward if we wanted to talk about that.
Sure.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And the only thing is, I don't really wanna change anything on that yet because I'm waiting to get it back from the park board. You know what I mean? So like, this was sent to, Brockton.
Just so you guys know, we are not here on behalf of the park board, we are just here.
Yeah, sorry, I'm pointing at him because he's there,
Yes,
yeah,
yep.
but it was sent to
Oh, you're on the
Brock and
park board
Dana. Well, he's on the committee actually. So then, they're gonna talk it over, they're gonna send it back. And then I'm gonna bring it back to this, commission where then we can discuss it, make any changes, then if there is changes, send it back, then for approval from both boards, then we'll have something in place. So that's what we're looking to do.
Yeah. I don't know if you got anything, but I like this, I like that you guys
Yeah.
are starting to.
Adam basically wrote that up.
Yep, absolutely.
Sure. Yeah, it's very well done.
I think if we could stick to this, we could maybe not have to have some of this other stuff happening, if we could focus on that, maybe.
Yeah. If I can just maybe give some clarification on, when you get on the school board, it's mandatory you go to a 3-day seminar for school board training, it's actually state law. And I guess I'm going off of that because it's probably identical to city commission or county commission or anything else, and that is that you have to be careful to know when to put on your commissioner hat or your board hat and when you have to take it off. Let's say that if I would go up to the police department and I would want to say that I didn't like the way that they were handling ordinances or anything, and I didn't have that portfolio, that would be out of line. That would be Miranda. Now, if I wanted to go to, like when I came and visited with the park board last year on land swaps, the first thing I did is I went to the city commission. I said, this is what I would like to, I think we should discuss with the park board land swap. I said, can I have permission? It was a majority vote of the board, and I went there. I was asked other questions on other things, but I wasn't given permission to get out of that parameter. And it might seem kind of, tight and that type of thing, but that's what we were taught, is that when you go somewhere and you walk in, you're a school board member, commissioner, something like that, you gotta make sure you're telling them what hat you're wearing. You could say, I'm up here as a citizen only, which means you have no ability to represent the board. But when you are like with Keith and Adam, they were given validity of the board, to go and to represent the city. And I think if we would stay within that, in that parameter of when we go to represent the council, that we were given permission to go represent the council, and that would probably, take care of some of the issues that come up, so. Cause that's what like I said, that was and I'm sure the commission training from League of Cities would be similar to what school board training is, so.
Can I ask a question? Who invited our law enforcement?
I don't know.
I did.
Oh, okay. I'm just,
Yep.
just
It's
wondering.
a public meeting.
What?
It's a public meeting, does he have to be invited? No, he's not.
I just had them here.
Oh, that's fine. No, believe me, I didn't like the feeling of having a deputy come down here when I came in to sign my complaint letter, but I felt the need. So I respect that.
It couldn't have been me, cause I can't even find my phone.
Was there some personal discussion someplace today from other people that made Chelsea, bring law enforcement down, maybe?
I think maybe it was all the yelling and screaming you didn't do.
That is correct.
Well, I think we,
We should probably try and keep things civil, don't you agree?
well, that's why I offered a
Right.
handshake.
You know,
No, I understand it, but I mean, in all reality, Mark, and I'm not trying to pick on you in any way, but it seems like this is really simple. You accidentally broke a rule,
Yeah,
right? You didn't
Accidentally.
intentionally break a rule, you accidentally broke a rule, they're just saying, we have rules to follow, we have rules for a reason, right?
Yeah.
So, let's apologize for accidentally breaking a rule.
yeah, I'm the
It's
first
as-
one to
it's as easy- it's
apologize,
as easy as
believe
that.
me.
No, I got you, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
well,
It's
not
as easy
only
as
that, I mean, he could have told them when they were at the meeting, hey, you can't be doing
Yeah,
this, you know.
instead of making a big deal out of it.
I understand that also, but I mean, really, isn't this as simple as you broke a rule? We got rules to follow, I gotta follow the rules,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, you're married.
So, so, That's as easy as that.
Well, I know, it could have been handled, like,
Right, but there's also rules the way you handle things.
It's
I
not
know.
just this time though.
I'm not gonna
It's
bring up
all-
past
it's all-
stuff,
it's
I'm
all-
not arguing with anybody,
So we don't.
it's a simple statement that I'm making.
yeah, not a problem.
Yeah, if Mark's gonna apologize, I will never bring up anything in 19, ever again. Not as against him or anything like that. Nothing.
That's fine.
And, you know, we had a previous president, he done a great job, he knows the city of Washburn. Instead of having some animosity that we do probably have between us, he should be helping our new president on probably things that he probably doesn't know and helping him out, you know. And, you know, just whatever, you know.
Sure, let's move on if we can.
Yes, yep.
All right. Culvert, conversions, counties dues. So,
Coal Conversion is a group that lobbies on behalf of cities before the legislature. And we belong to this organization in the past. So I would move that we would,
or,
renew our
Okay.
membership to it.
is there a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion. Are we getting our money's worth? Cause I see it's $537.
Lobbying is very expensive. I don't think we could even
Okay,
touch that.
that's all my only question.
These, I like them. They have the cities
Yeah.
and they lobby hard for us during legislative years and
they're
they
local.
give quarterly reports.
Sure.
They send them off when they have them. And with this property tax measure going onto the ballot, indirectly that could affect some of how we get our state money. So having them lobby and be a part of them on our side is very crucial for us as a city, in my opinion.
Okay. Yeah, I just went through the bills, I seen the price, I just wanna make sure we're getting our money.
Yeah, and that's what we paid for 2023 as well.
Okay,
It never went up.
so we have a first and a second.
Keith, did you second that?
Yes, sir,
Okay.
yeah.
Yes.
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 Yes. All right. Memorial building, painting of the stage. So, I don't know if you guys seen the color, but I had a meeting with American Legion. Members on, they wanna, that's one of the last things to do is to paint the stage area or to put up some fabric or something. So they wanna paint it, it's kind of a flat black. It's called, something cat.
I can't remember. I have the swatch in the office if you
Okay.
guys do wanna look at it, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's like a dark flat black.
Yeah, it's a,
Wait, do you know, Gary?
eggshell, is that the right term? Is that the color?
I can't remember.
The kind of paint.
Yeah.
It's not a flat.
I could go grab it
it's
real
a-
quick, I guess.
Well, if you will. So, well anyways, so they said, if the city would purchase the paint and the primer, and then they'll take care of the labor, and then they would, reimburse us for the paint. But they wanted the city approval, so if they bought the paint and then the city complains about it, and then there'll be another complaint that the city caused, okay? So,
So if
If-
they're gonna reimburse, why don't they just purchase it?
because they want, we had that talk, because they've tried to do this in the past, and it seems like it's a headache that the city, that's what they wanted to do, so I agreed with them to try to get along with American Legion.
So they just want to see if we like the color beforehand.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
this
kind
is
of a
the
run,
color that,
so.
and then they're willing to work with us. They just said, hey, we want you guys to approve the paint. This is what it's gonna cost. There's like, 3 gallons of this interior paint, this black, 2 gallons of primer. It's for the memorial building, which the building that we own. But they said, hey, you guys approve it, blah, blah, blah.
Can't we just
Well-
approve the color so we don't have to go through the we buy it, they reimburse us?
That'd
Can
make
I
a lot
motion
more
to
sense.
approve this
It's a
color?
lot- It's a lot less bookkeeping, so.
I'm fine with that. I'm easy to get along with. I can change my views.
I'm
not
gonna, can
petty.
I motion that to let the American Legion paint their stage the color proposed?
Okay.
But they.
I missed
they-
that, the Legion is painting it, right, or having somebody paint it?
They're gonna pay for the labor.
Okay.
Essentially just
But-
approve of the color.
Right, and then along with that is your idea that they just purchase a
They
paint instead of
purchase
going
it
through the,
and do the labor.
Okay, I'll second that.
so then you'll explain to them.
Yeah, I'll explain.
Okay,
And then this is the whole, not that it matters, but just getting it done, let's just get it done, but
Yeah.
is this the front and like the internal sides?
Yeah,
Just like everything
The
up front?
sides, and then, the front, and then the front of the stage. This is what they,
Okay.
all right? Yeah. Let's just work together and be flexible. Gee. Okay,
Are we gonna vote?
oh, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
Yes. Okay, cities, CDs. So,
Chelsea made this next part extra special, so I'll let her
okay.
present it.
And I know I was told you looked into it, but the bank called me to come in and talk to them. So I hope I didn't step on your toes.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine, you could have told me that before right now.
I
Yeah,
didn't
that-
know
that's-
about it until
Not a
I picked up the information.
Perfect.
So I apologize.
You're just fine.
Last week, it might have been 2 weeks ago, when I had to sign something for the bank, Stacy was in here. And I had asked her out of curiosity if they had anything on their end, stating, designating our 3 CDs that we currently have. Because we are looking at getting a higher interest rate with all the work that Haley and Keith did with these. And she said that, not that she knew about, I could not find anything in minutes, I did talk to Bellland Council. If there was stating anything with these, we are not moving them, we are not withdrawing them, we are just more or less reinvesting them with a higher interest rate. So I don't see that being, a big deal, because the money is still gonna be there if for some reason we were default on a loan, it's still there in that CD, accruing more interest. I would like to see them kept as 3 separate CDs, but they did say, when I talked to Stacy, she did say that to talk to her first before we did it, and they could look at waiving our penalties. So I think that's a good option, but I think it's best to keep them separate if they're willing to do that and just go with that higher interest rate, with the determination of what the 612, however you guys wanna do it.
So it's the same as our last numbers, except an extra $1,500, so,
Mhm.
thank you, Chelsea and Stacy.
So I'll make a motion that, we update our CDs.
Second.
For how many months?
I think is that for a year? Is that something that we wanna do with that bigger CD?
We could reinvest for 6 months, 12 months.
Just, you told me this last time, but this is a long-term thing, cause we have to keep this money in here, is that the what?
Yeah,
right, it's
yep.
kind of an insurance policy.
So they are talking about interest rates maybe getting bought down, so
Yeah.
should we go longer? Or,
Yeah, I know what you mean, cause we kind of went over all the numbers last time, in about a year's, there was a sweet spot of length before it starts diminishing with the rate. So, the possible gain, you know, it's kind of like gambling, you know, do you wanna take the safe bet, or, you know, I just saw the safest bet that was presented 2 meetings ago, whatever it was the 1 year at the highest rate, cause it is the most guaranteed return, but, yeah.
let's say a year, if that's what we wanna go with.
I'll amend my motion and add 1 year to my motion to move the CDs.
Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
technically, but yep, second.
Second amendment, second that amendment.
Okay. All in favor? Or,
You vote on the amendment?
yeah,
Aye.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
now you vote on the motion.
Yep. A vote on the motion?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. All right. Yeah. Special assessment assistance approval.
The special assessment program is available to, low income people, and I shouldn't even say it's low income, it just depends on if you fall within the 30, 40, or 60%. It is only for water and sewer specials. It is a form you have to apply for every year, the deadline is September 30th. So these figures come from the HUD website that's how the median income's calculated, and all those numbers come from there. This year, with all the applications that we received that qualify, it is $3,463 that the city would be paying to help with these special assessments. We do have money in this fund. We had put more money in there a couple of years ago, so it's in
in line. with
It
the
is line,
food
yep.
So I would move that we would act on the special assistance approval for what is Chelsea's placed here, so.
Second.
Any more discussion? Or any not here yet?
Yes.
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 Yes. All right. Extended summer help.
So, yeah, in HR, we talked about, our current summer help and, some of the projects we have coming up, that being like the lead line and basically a bunch of surveys, they'll need to possibly go door to door and do all these extra data and everything else just to figure out this thing that we're being forced to do with the lead lines. That and also just he's a very good worker. He's had good reports every single month that he's been here. We would be looking to extend him, basically still as like a temporary help or seasonal help. So not like a full-time thing or anything like that, but through this winter. And then I don't remember what exactly our rate was, Chelsea, or if we decided upon a rate.
I think that was, if we decided to keep him, we would discuss that when we do all employee evals in the middle of November.
Yep. So, any questions, I guess, or anything like that?
Yeah, would he qualify for any benefits
No,
if we kept him on a certain period of time?
he's still listed as
Temporary.
temporary.
Seasonal.
Yes, season, we're just gonna extend it,
Okay.
How many hours is he working a week?
It's at least like 30,
yeah,
if not upwards.
usually 40. There are days that he hasn't in there, so I would say on average 32 to 40.
So who would determine when HR would determine when he's no longer needed, or you and Adam, or?
Yeah, I think we could bring it to our HR meetings that we have and discuss it on.
So that
As
it
the-
doesn't have to come back here to say that it's time for him to go and we don't meet for 3 weeks. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
True, yeah. Yeah, I guess if you guys would give us that latitude, we could set that date.
Yeah.
Yeah, in whatever motion or anything would be made. But as for pay, wouldn't that have to come back here anyways? Unless
For
we
pay?
decide- Yeah, for pay.
Yeah, but
Is
that
it
can
will?
go along with all of our, unless you want to increase his pay, going to extend his summer, we would have to discuss that and bring it back, which we could very well do in the November meeting. Otherwise, if any raises are given, they have to be approved in December anyway because they take effect January 1st. Typically how it's been done in the past, like everything could change, but that's just how it's been done in the past.
Yeah, so I guess we could just keep him at the same rate until then. If that was the position, so his current
Yeah,
rate.
Because there wouldn't be raises, like you said, till after December, January 1st anyway.
Yep, exactly. So it would be kind of silly to, yeah, come back for 2 months, you're gonna get this, and then there might be another raise, you know, but.
I mean, they're not looking to keep him past January 1st, are they? Or would say we have.
We would like to, just given the nature of all these unknown lead lines that we have. If we don't know what, some of the people that filled them out, I guess that's kind of, I'll just bring it up now. Letters will be going out this week for everybody that came back with an unknown. So we have like 12 we know are lead lines, and we have to know what they are on both sides of it, the house side and the city side of it. And there's a lot of them on the city side, we don't know what they are. So we need to go in and figure out what they are. And that's gonna require somebody going door to door,
Right.
setting up appointments, getting in there so we can see the city side of it too, of what these lead lines are.
Okay.
Having, depending on what our winter's like, having one person that could do that would be beneficial. If we don't have a lot of snow, we could probably send more than one, but his sole focus then would be to try and get as many of those figured out that we can.
And he's willing to be temporary, he's known to be a good employee.
Yes.
And he's okay with, you know, not getting benefits and
Right.
knowing that
Sure.
he's open-ended, it's just kind of a win-win where he is in his life too. That's what we thought.
I would move that we would extend summer help, the period of time to be determined, period of time and wages to be determined by HR.
I'll second that.
I guess just on the discussion, it's kind of a little bit long-term strategy because then maybe because it sounds like he might move after next summer. But, you know, it's always kind of difficult to find that summer help to get that person, that sort of thing. So maybe this could move into that and then, you know, and when he moves or whatever. So it's not all for sure, but it's just kind of, you know, thinking
You
about
said
that.
move
so.
here maybe?
No, move away.
I'll move.
Yeah, move away. So we could get some really good help. He's here, might, you know,
He's
long
trained
term,
in.
but, right, exactly, it's pretty big, yeah.
Is there any thoughts about getting him a full-time job, or is there enough work for that, or?
Oh, he might, it's not for sure, but he might move at the end of next summer. I think
Oh.
that's what it was, what Adam was saying, that he might move down south.
Possibly.
Or
He's,
something
yeah,
like that.
he was looking at it, this fall and they weren't leaving, so not, if that opportunity arises, I think he would be a good employee, but we'll have to, I guess, kind of just keep that in mind.
See if he sticks around, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
Aye.
Yes.
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 yes. All right, let's move on. 25. My formal complaint letter. I'm gonna quick read it. If you guys wanna discuss it, we can. If not, we'll move on. The Washburn City Auditor, this is formal complaint I'm submitting due to the wrongful conduct of Keith Happett Jr. and Tim Doctor, who are both presently City of Washburn Commissioners. A letter was recently submitted to the City Auditor by Keith Happett Jr. claiming wrongful conduct on my part in going to the Park Board meeting on October 9th, is attacking my credibility as President of the Commission. In this addition to previous false statements by both Tim Doctor and Keith Happett Jr., including the January 4th, 2023 meeting with Tim Doctor, Judy Beaudry, and myself, while I was president of the Washburn Park Board, under the assumption of going over Park Board Commission and City Commission working together. Instead, Tim and Judy collaborated against me to change my stance on items without the permission of either commissioners to be talked about. See video from January 4th, 2023. This defamation of my character has been ongoing from early 2022 to the present by the past commission administration. In this complaint, I would like to enter into evidence any past city commission and park board minutes, videos, emails between 2022 and the present. This latest defamation is another attempt to remove me as president of the city commission and trying to discredit me in the eyes of the community. Anybody want to talk about it? If not, we'll move on. All
I
right.
guess I'll make a comment. Yeah,
Sure.
I'm absolutely not perfect. I'm a sinner saved by grace through Jesus Christ. And I would be just looking for them to be a little bit more specific, so then I can know what I specifically can change, as well as evidence presented as you state there. I'd like to see evidence of these claims. And beyond
Okay.
that, I'd love to, work on myself and that sort of thing.
Okay, how about calling me, recording the phone call, and then later telling me you're recording the phone call, and during that phone call, you use words to describe me as being unworkable, what's the other words you used?
I said you had petty grudges against Larry and Tim. I didn't say you
Yeah.
weren't working with, but.
And all kinds of, you blame me for the things that the city did to the park board and to myself. You were giving, yeah, you said you're half to blame.
Well, yeah, cause
Right?
you had your hand in that, in the meeting you referenced with Tim, you were not exactly perfect, but you.
I didn't do anything wrong. Let's all go back and watch it.
Yeah, I
But,
mean, so
but
I
listen to
wasn't-
the,
I wasn't
I'm
really
sorry,
looking to
but
read-
listen to the verbiage of you recording people without their knowledge. You
Correct.
said it's legal. Yeah, it is legal. But the way you do it and your attitude is very disappointing, Keith. I'm sorry, you're supposed to, I mentioned, you're supposed to be HR and you talk to people like that over the phone. You wonder why I get upset. This has been going on since 2022. This isn't like just happened today. This has been going on. I'll bet you I got a file at home with 20 items that I could file grievances against the city commission. But I didn't because at least I got a backbone, I can take it. But this has got to stop.
Your
This has
agenda
gotta
has to
stop.
Or like, what has to stop?
All this petty, nitpicking about this and that, this is just, yeah. All you had to do is say, Mark, you made a mistake, will you apologize? Yeah, I would have went to the next meeting and apologized. Why do we have to throw it in front of the community? You know?
Do you want me to explain, or are you just asking?
No, I don't need any more explanations.
Okay, perfect.
You made yourself really clear. And I appreciate people in the audience that know what's been going on for the last 3 years. The whole community knows. Everyone I talk to says they want change from Larry. Because I was kept from being on agendas. He was kept from being on agendas. Why? Because it was stuff the city didn't want to talk about.
Why'd
There
you do
was-
why'd you do the same thing then?
I wanted to talk about it at a meeting so we can have some substance and bring up some videos where some of these people can actually see the problems that the city has been doing over the last 3 years with the park board, with the Legion, with Washburn Life. It's disgusting.
If I may,
Yeah.
can we move on? You guys have.
Yeah, I'm
hashed this out
He brought it up. I was ready to move on.
Man, you know.
I'm.
He wanted an explanation.
No, I mean, just evidence.
I got a
Somebody will
backbone.
complain.
I'm sorry, but I fight for myself. Okay, let's move on. Thank you, Larry. Good advice. Okay, A2S update.
We do not have one tonight.
Okay. Portfolio, Tim.
Okay, Jamie and I will share the superintendent's report. Which isn't unusual in a drought year. The river level is down and so we have installed the auxiliary pump and Jamie wired that up, correct?
Yep.
Yep, so that's all been hooked up. And we can treat water normally from about, it says here 10 PM to 10 AM every day when the river's a little higher. So like I said, it's been an ongoing issue, you know, since the flood in 11, you know, that changed the river. And then, Adam here, I'm not aware of this one, repairs and updates to ammonium system. It says a month-long wait to upgrade an ammonium delivery system for the water treatment plant has been completed, okay, and the system is back to the regular disinfection. Okay, I apologize, I do remember he had talked to me about that, he had parts coming for that. Down on Main Street, which would be the old Huffman building, the old statue place right next to the, Cafe 77, there was no water going to the building because the building hadn't actually demanded any water for decades. So what happened is that the copper pipe that went into the main had actually, fitting had corroded shut, wasn't allowing water through. Well, city is responsible from the main to the, or water up to the water shut off. So Chris Trespic dug it out, cleaned it out and took care of that, so. Otherwise, I don't have anything on the portfolio.
Tim, I have one question about the water intake in the river. Is there any way that they could cut into that to allow more water to come into it without damaging it? No?
No, not the way it's designed.
Okay,
It's a gravity flow, so you gotta have so much water over the top.
okay.
And tradition,
I was just wondering if they were to like cut notches in the top, if that would give us
Yeah.
another 3-4 inches.
you can't do that, so.
Oh,
I
okay,
mean, there's been all kinds of options looked at, and the Corps is usually very good about knowing when, watching freeze up, and they'll bring it back up again, so.
right. To see their projected outlook. All right, thank you. Jamie?
All right, the other side, on the street side, asphalt patching, patches are cut out, waiting to cut them out or take them out completely, till I hear from Quality Asphalt. Basically, when they get into town, before we dig them out, yeah, basically, sorry, get that, then, their target time to show up here is October 21st, last time you spoke with them.
You said what?
October 21st,
Okay.
is that what it said?
Okay, thanks.
Okay, fall sweeping begins this week to continue until all the leaves are off the street. We will attempt to notify neighbors ahead of time, when we're sweeping, in the area. They get their vehicles off the street, so. Fall maintenance, basically just says he's working on fall maintenance, that part. Okay, so, yeah, I think this would just be informational, I'll probably work off his notes and mine.
Sure.
But, yeah, so we talked about the asphalt patching, yep, they said they're approximately around October 21st. Next thing would be the crack sealing, right now we're using that MC 3000. When I talked to him on, let's see, I think this last Monday, he had got a hold of Jerry from Midstate Equipment in southern Minnesota and looking at going away from the MC 3000 to, I think the brand was a Maxwell rubber sealant. And basically, now the kettle we have won't work with that, so you'll have to either buy one or rent one. For 30 days, it's $9,000 to rent, or one of those new is $100,000. I think the conversation was maybe trying to rent one for the first year or two. Basically, the only downfall is if you put it can't take water, so if you get a snowstorm in April,
Right.
you're kind of in trouble with that rental. So its best price is half a truckload or half a semi-trailer load, which
Are these bricks that you put in, or bales that you
Yeah.
put in there?
I think so.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, cause our notes match up pretty good together. But yeah, which about $18,000 for half a truckload is your best price. And figured that should roughly run 2, maybe 3 years worth of product. This stuff has a good shelf life if you keep it covered. Or inside or under a tarp, you can use it the next year, year after is what they're.
Worry about freezing either. You can go cold storage with it.
Yep, they
Okay.
said you could do cold storage. I guess this would just be informational now, I guess to
Right.
vote on anything, would wait till Adam to get back.
Yeah.
Or maybe see if we wanna find something else, but this is where we're at so far. Disadvantage, a different kettle, but maybe getting a rental and that being their problem is maybe a benefit, I don't know.
Right.
The fact that it has shelf life for not just that year, so you don't have to guess on what you're gonna use and run out, at least you'd have everything you need for that year, and then what you don't use, you can use next year.
When would we have to make a decision?
I think we got time. We should probably make a decision sooner than later, but I think when we get Adam back here and
Then we can talk more.
see if he wants to find a different option. I think the closest person was Lincoln, the town of Lincoln. So I mean, we could check with them and see what they think of the product. You gotta put it down above 40 degrees, no moisture. Yeah, I think that's what I got on that. We had kinda So this is maybe getting your guys' input, chip sealing, sounds like the last two projects, I don't know, got chip sealed? Do we have any record on that, like when Quam did it and then Wagner did it, did those get chip sealed? I was kinda texting back and forth with Adam today and he thought they did.
Yeah, but I think for some reason this very last one didn't. But I would have to go back and look at the records for that.
Yeah. So like we were talking, that would be another special assessment, wouldn't it? I mean,
Typically it's specialed out, yes.
so then
It has been in the past.
to go forward chip sealing, I think we'd have to have a conversation of whether we wanna, get Eric involved,
Mhm.
find the scope of work, go out for bids and whether we wanna do that or not,
Correct.
so.
And I've seen it, typically they said they wait a year to two. At our fall conference, actually one of the topics there was doing it right away. I don't know the best option. I don't know anything about that. But it's definitely something I think that we should start looking into if that's the route we wanna go.
I was working at the DOT and that's what one of the guys at the DOT was saying too, they're tending to go sooner than later,
Mhm.
so it doesn't dry out as much, but.
That's what was mentioned at, our fall conference.
So I think that's something coming up, we should probably discuss whether we want to go forward with that chip sealing. To get the quotes and get it ready for next year. So. I think that's all I need to talk about for now.
Okay. The only thing I have is over at the Memorial Hall, the painting. I notice our, branch pile's getting bigger and bigger. Elmer or Schwartz did donate $100 to the fire department. I made a mistake and I thought he was inside the area to bring branches in. I was wrong. I apologized to Tim. I said I would talk to Elmer, explain it, that was my fault. He said, I'd like to make a donation to the fire department since they're the ones that burn the pile, so.
Cut from the rest of them.
It's that simple. Yeah, that's all I can really. Oh, Keith, did you find out anything? Do we own the bathrooms at Riverside Park?
That was discussed a little bit. Ownership has not been fully
Okay.
nothing to prove, because apparently it might have been paid for by a grant way back when, so it's like, okay, who even paid for this thing? But, in the agreement, it does look like they are willing to take care of it, obviously not official, it hasn't been approved and that sort of stuff, but they'd be looking to take care of it, maintain it, that sort of stuff, so whether there's and insure it. So whether there's ownership or not, I guess, we'll have to visit that down the road.
Technically, I still feel it's on Missouri Avenue, right, Jim? And then, well, that's what you stated in the past. It's always been that, the city, provides the water and all that. I mean, they've helped before, but it seemed like, when the summer help would clean it, that was like working with the city on it. But now it seems like, well, Judy Beaudry made this thing that, no, that's our bathrooms. And it's, where did this ever come from, or how did that come up?
That's what
Because
we're
it's
looking at.
always been the city's bathrooms in the shelters. As far as I know, that's as far as back I go on the park board.
Sure,
And then all of a sudden it belongs to somebody else, but it's on Missouri Avenue, which is street property. Yeah, there's some clarification there, but it seems like, where did we go from A to B? And all of a sudden it gets switched over without it being talked about at park board meetings or
And I think
commission
that's
meetings.
what, I think they were premature in this, Mark, because that's what they're working on.
Oh,
I mean,
sure.
tit for tat for all.
That's why I asked him if
No problem.
if he's still looking, cause I told him
I think
would
it's
give
actually
him-
on that list that
It
he
is,
presented tonight.
Right,
It's-
and I
it's
told him, I haven't looked into it, I'm letting you look into it.
Yeah, if we
So-
could get line item 18 resolved, we could we could get through some of this stuff.
And that's
Right.
the goal, right, yeah, so
Yeah.
then, I mean, once we get there, like whether all this past stuff with who owns and whatever, who did
Yeah.
what, like this would actually, cause there was anything like this before. But if there was something like this, then be like, oh, we take care of it, so whether ownership is, obviously, if that's discovered down the road, we can address that, but this is
Sure.
like meeting minutes from Erica looked, who else?
Sure,
looked?
that's fine.
I looked a little bit, Adam looked,
No, that's-
everyone's kind of dug and dug and dug, but if we can get both, and big goal, both parties just to agree on, okay, you're taking care of it.
Sure.
You need any help, let us know, your insurance is covering it without issue, it's like, okay, you know, so, but thank you so much for bringing that up, and we're just a little bit, so maybe next meeting, if that comes back, we could definitely discuss that a little bit more.
See, and this is where, if I know I'm stepping on your toes, I'll apologize right away. But if I do stuff that, I'm just trying to move things along. I'm not trying to create any hostility on this commission. You know, like the bathrooms, I said, go ahead and look into it. I haven't looked into it in, 3 months? Because I know, and I asked you tonight. I mean, that's how we get along and not get our whatever in a bunch. That's all I got. Do you have anything?
With the HR stuff, we covered pretty much, or you might have more, and I haven't met with library, they haven't called me. I don't have anything.
I wanna say that I am getting library and, you know, the board information. I wanna thank you for that, even though that there's some good communication going on. And I did have a little bit of talk with John. We had a nice visit, so. We didn't talk anything, we just said hi.
My turn? Yeah, okay. Yeah, so employee evals, as we know, are coming up. The CDs, I'll talk to Chelsea and we'll kind of get that handled and then report back obviously on that. Summer help, we covered that, and then I'll look into grants for the emergency sirens, so finance and HR, we'll cover that.
Good. All right, Chelsea.
Well, I have good news for the walkers. Open walk and reopen tomorrow. The school has moved out. They are using their lunchroom. So we will get that opened up 8 a.m. to 3:15 roughly, then the school gets in there. So that'll be open back up. The Candy Caravan will take place on October 31st. It is from 3:30 to 5. So 6th Street to 9th Street will be closed for that time being to allow all the little trick-or-treaters. Just a reminder that tomorrow is October 15th. With that, all campers, trailers, vehicles need to be removed from the street until April 15th again. Our winter ordinance help out with that will go along with the leaf blowing and any snow that we will see in the future. I kind of touched on this earlier, but just as a reminder, if you do see a letter from the city of Washburn, please do not throw it away, read it. It has to do with this lead and copper line. The more information we can get from all the residents, the easier it's going to be on us. It's going to be a pain, but any information we can get, we are being mandated to do this by the EPA, so we have no choice in the matter.
Does it
And
go,
they're, sorry.
does it go to those who have already responded?
Unfortunately, there is a bunch on there that have already responded,
Okay.
and I think that has to do with because they have to know exactly both sides of it.
Oh.
Where they know with that picture that was taken what's going into the house, but we need to know what's going from the main to the house.
Oh.
So yes, if you did fill it out and they don't know both sides of it, you will be receiving another one. We just ask that you can work with us so we can get a lot of those unknown known, and that narrows it down to how we move forward with our project area, which down the line, though, of getting all those lead pipes replaced.
I was just saying, and therefore I would cut down on city hours doing it, so when
Correct.
people complain about
Yes.
raising taxes and paying for things, if you reply to stuff like this, I just think in terms of like, if I know I'm doing things, then, you know, you're more likely to do it.
Yep. And there is money, I mean, the first stage, we did get funding from the state, so we didn't have to pay for all of the extra help that AE2S did. That second stage has not been awarded yet. There's possibly money coming, but until we know that for sure, I can't say that. So just, any help would be appreciated. And I guess just with that as a mental note, I know it's on there when we talk about the next meeting, but our meeting is on a Tuesday in November. because Veterans Day is Monday, so we are closed, so it'll be the 12th on a Tuesday. That's all I have.
Meeting adjourned. Okay, Chelsea, I'll be here, shortly after, right after 10 o'clock.
Okay, that'll work.